Ever find yourself scratching your head over the simple present tense in English? You're not alone. Welcome to the fascinating world of English grammar, where we untangle the complex web of words and phrases to make sense of the language we use every day. Today, we're setting our sights on an aspect of English that's as fundamental as it is frequently misunderstood: the simple present tense. The simple present tense is a cornerstone of English. It's the verbal equivalent of a Swiss Army knife, versatile and ever ready. It's used to express habits, general truths, repeated actions, unchanging situations, emotions, and wishes. Let's say you have a routine of going for a morning jog every day. You would express this habit in the simple present tense by saying, "I jog every morning." Simple, right? Or perhaps you're a fan of a universally acknowledged truth like, "The sun rises in the east." That's the simple present tense in action, stating a fact that doesn't change. But it's not always as straightforward as it seems, and that's where many English learners hit a roadblock. The simple present tense can be a tricky beast, often leading to errors and confusion. For instance, it might feel intuitive to say "I'm liking this movie" when expressing an emotion. But in the realm of simple present tense we say "I like this movie." And that's just one of the many nuances of this versatile tense. The simple present tense is also used to express unchanging situations like, "I live in New York," or wishes such as, "I wish I had a dog." These are statements that remain constant, at least for the time being. So you see, the simple present tense is a lot more than just a grammatical concept. It's a tool we use to share our lives, our routines, our truths, and our wishes with the world. And understanding it is key to mastering English. If the simple present tense has been a source of confusion for you, worry no more. Today we'll dive deep into it. To master the simple present tense, we first need to understand its structure. The simple present tense in English is quite straightforward. It primarily revolves around the base form of the verb. For instance, in the sentence, "I read a book," the verb read is in its base form. It's the same when we talk about you, we, they, or any plural noun. You read a book, we read a book, they read a book, and so on. However, there's a slight twist when it comes to the third person singular. That's when we're talking about he, she, it, or any singular noun. In these cases we add an s or es to the end of the verb. So the sentence becomes, he reads a book, she reads a book, it reads a book, and so forth. Now there's a small exception to this rule. When our verb ends in y and there's a consonant before that y, we replace the y with i's. For example, I study English becomes, he studies English. But remember, this applies only when there's a consonant before the y. If there's a vowel before the y, we simply add s, like in I play the piano becomes he plays the piano. But what about negative sentences and questions? Well, in the simple present tense we use the auxiliary verb do for negative sentences and questions. For example, I do not play the piano, or do you play the piano? Again, remember the third person singular rule. We say, he does not play the piano, or does he play the piano? So in a nutshell, the simple present tense is all about the base verb form, with a small addition of s or es for the third person singular. And don't forget the auxiliary verb do for negatives and questions. Now that we know the structure, let's move on to some examples. Now it's time to see the simple present tense in action. Picture this: you're having a casual conversation with a friend. You might say something like, "I play the guitar." In this sentence, the action of playing the guitar is something that you do regularly. It's part of your routine or habit. So we use the simple present tense to express this. Let's consider another example. Imagine you're at a pizza joint with a buddy. He takes a bite of his slice and says, he loves pizza. Here, the action of loving pizza is a general truth about your friend. It's not something that changes from time to time. It's a constant. So, again, we use the simple present tense. Now, let's say you're introducing yourself to someone new. You might tell them, "We live in New York." The action of living in New York is a fact about your life. It's not something that's happening right now, or something that happened in the past. It's a fact. And so, we use the simple present tense to express this. But the simple present tense isn't just for habits, general truths, and facts. It's also used to express feelings and thoughts. For example, you might say, "I think this movie is interesting," or "She feels happy today." These are your thoughts and feelings in the present moment, so once more we use the simple present tense. Lastly, we also use the simple present tense for scheduled events in the future. For instance, if you have a doctor's appointment next week, you might say, "My appointment is on Tuesday." Even though the event is in the future, it's already scheduled, and so we use the simple present tense. With these examples, You can see how the simple present tense is used in everyday English. So remember, whether you're talking about your habits, general truths, facts, feelings, thoughts, or future plans, the simple present tense is your go-to. How about some practice now? Remember, practice makes perfect. Let's dive in with some questions. I encourage you to pause the video after each question, think about it, and formulate your answer before I reveal the correct response. Ready? Let's go. Question 1. How do we form the positive simple present tense of the verb to read? The answer is we use the base form of the verb for all subjects except for the third person singular, he, she, it, where we add an s. For example, I read, you read, he reads. Alright, moving on to question 2. How do we form the negative simple present tense of the verb to eat? Pause the video and think about it. The answer is, we use do not or does not before the base form of the verb. For instance, I do not eat, you do not eat, he does not eat. Now let's try question 3. How do we form the interrogative simple present tense of the verb to play? Think about it. The answer is, we start with do or does, followed by the subject in the base form of the verb. For example, do I play? Do you play? Does he play? Great job so far. Let's move on to question 4. Formulate a sentence using the verb to walk in the simple present tense. There are countless correct answers here, but one example could be, she walks to school every morning. Finally, question 5. Turn the sentence, they watch TV every evening into a question. The correct response would be, do they watch TV every evening? Well done on your practice. Let's wrap up with some final thoughts. Remember, the simple present tense is all around us in daily English conversation. The more you practice using it, the more comfortable you'll become. Keep up the great work. With the right understanding and plenty of practice, the simple present tense can become a breeze. And there we have it, folks. We've journeyed through the ins and outs of the simple present tense, a fundamental building block of the English language. We started by introducing this tense, its uses, and why it's so essential. It's the go-to when talking about habits, facts, and general truths. It's the bread and butter of English. Then we dove into the structure. We learned that it's all about the base form of the verb, with a little tweak for third-person singular subjects. I go, you go, we go, but he goes, she goes, it goes. Remember that S. We also explored numerous examples from I read a book every night to she takes the bus to work. We saw how the simple present tense infiltrates our everyday conversations, making it a crucial piece of the English language puzzle. Then came the practice with questions and answers that allowed us to flex our new language muscles. We asked, does he play football? And answered, yes he does. Or, no he doesn't. We saw how questions in simple present tense often begin with do or does. So we've covered a lot, but the learning doesn't stop here. Keep practicing. Use the simple present tense in your daily conversations. Make mistakes and learn from them. That's how we grow. That's how we master. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have any burning questions, any thoughts or experiences you'd like to share? Leave them in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, show us some love. Hit that like button, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel. We're here to help you navigate the English language one tense at a time. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more English learning content. And don't forget to leave any questions or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep practicing and happy learning.